or 2 children that are over 12 months old, then you're gonna need to offer those other indicators, materials for those indicators.
So provisions for relaxation and comfort, we want to see that they have a protected cozy area, soft area, many soft toys, at least 10 soft toys. And then this is where the much of the day piece comes in. So again, the children don't have to have, your non-mobiles don't need to be surrounded by their soft toys, their books, the dolls and everything all at once. But some kind of a system in place where, maybe the teacher's reading to the children, so she'll take the young baby with her and sit and have them on the lap. The baby can hold maybe a soft toy or a musical instrument or a crinkly thing. And then maybe they go on the floor and maybe there's a mobile up above them and they can have some fine motor that they can start grasping, so.
But if I take this baby and I haul it around like this all day and I'm doing this, I'm interacting with you and I'm interacting with you, there's this baby hanging out over there. And you laugh, but this is what I see. So this baby is not getting anything. So even if they need to be held, let's at least turn them around, let's smile at them, let's sit them on our lap and have them talk with us while we're talking with other kiddos.
I asked a rating specialist how to help the infant rooms to make sure that they connect with all the kids. And she said to have them set like their phone on a timer for every 15 minutes in their pocket. And when it goes off, that they know they need to make sure that everyone has been, that way they're on top of it and it's a reminder.
I think you have to do some brainstorming and see what might work for each individual program. Sometimes you'll have multiple staff, you'll have 3 staff members, so maybe there's a way to have them help each other remember those things. Maybe somebody can kind of be a timekeeper and they're kind of paying attention to rotation things. You just kind of have to brainstorm and see what's going to work best for each program. I think in a lot of programs that won't work because they don't like them to have their phones
Right.
for that purpose.
I've got a few directors.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen all extremes. I've seen some that it's just their practice and they've worked on it. I've seen others with charts on the wall every day with the kids. Okay, oh, look, they've gone to language arts. Okay, let's move you to sensory. Is that the best thing? That would drive me nuts. I'm not keeper of the chart, I'm keeper of the child. So, but you have to figure out your own system. Maybe it's primary caregivers is the one that'll work for them.
Right.
So,
And it doesn't say that, you have to see them in that 3 hours, go to every single thing. You need to get a sense that children are moved around and offered a variety of materials throughout their day.
that they're in that pool, not in their swing watching everybody else in the pool. Yep.
A lot of these things are kind of individual brainstorming sessions that you have. And you try something out, and if it doesn't work, then you try something else.
So room arrangement is the next one that's on the list. Room arrangement can look really different in the infant toddler rooms. It isn't just the physical arrangement of the room, it's also taking into consideration where the staff places themselves during the routines.
If I'm going to change somebody, and I'm just going to stand over here.
Oh, I have to get lunch ready, so I'm over here doing this. Where are your babies?
So there's
All
2
over
of
there,
us,
wreaking
but
havoc.
none of us can see anything that's going on.
But you could have a perfectly square room, all open, but your room arrangement's where your teachers are placed as well.
Yeah, and I've been in classrooms where there's been 3 teachers and they don't communicate and then nobody can see what the kids are doing because they're all doing something routine and they're not, but if I've seen them do a really great job and say, oh, I'm going to step in the kitchen or I'm going to be making this bottle. They tell each other what they're going to do, and they really do a good job of covering everybody's needs. So.
And it used to be the case where lots of times programs were ordering those convex mirrors to help with supervision. And that can aid in supervision, but it is not a substitution for direct supervision with the children, so it will not be counted in any way towards the rating. Same thing with baby monitors, baby TV monitors. You can have them, great, but it still does not substitute direct supervision. So I would not recommend those at all.
And it's really not something that is utilized, even though they have them. We don't really see them paying that much because you get busy and you're busy doing all the things you're doing and you forget to even check the monitor. Just like you forget to go check on the kids that are sleeping,
Mhm.
because you're busy with the kids that are awake,
Mm-hmm.
and so,
Yeah, maybe we should talk about that now under room arrangement.
we could, because that's another thing that falls under room arrangement,
Yeah,
is where your kids nap. So, separate sleep room, not good. Probably doesn't matter what you do unless you can afford to have somebody in there with the kids, then there's gonna be an opportunity to grow, because that's not what's best for them.
do you guys still have those in some of your programs, the separate sleep rooms? Yeah, I heard they're not making them anymore, so that's at least one good thing for new centers being built, but yeah. It's still a scary practice.
It is.
Some have the clear wall in between the sleeping area and the playground, or
Okay.
play area,
Mhm.
and the others have
A solid
a
half wall.
solid half wall.
Mhm.
And it really, the problem that we see with those is that it's fine when you're up here, but as soon as you sit down on the floor to play with the other kids, then you can't see anything back there. So unless it's clear, there potentially is gonna be that supervision issue, because you can't see, and you have to be down on the floor with the kids a good portion of the time. The other piece is sometimes there are only 3 kids, and so there's 1 staff member. If there's 1 staff member, then what is the likelihood they're gonna be able to supervise all those different areas? So that's something else that is looked at in this indicator.
And I think we think that those clear half walls is the best solution, which it is, but then where do they put their furniture? Right in front there. So then you just totally defeated the purpose, and you still can't see those sleeping babies, so, yeah, I've seen that too.
And in the family childcare homes as well too, where they may have like the younger, if the older ones are still awake, then they'll put the younger ones upstairs in a different
Upstairs
room.
all the time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's scary. It's very scary to me because I worked at a center where we had a SID staff. And so that was at a center where there were wide awake people there all the time. And we didn't have a wall or a separate room, it was just a baby and a crib right there that you can see.
Mhm.
But you can't necessarily tell right now that that baby's stopped breathing. So, you know, it's kind of a big deal. So the more that we can do to make sure they're safe, the better.
So if you do have that situation with the half wall, and you have babies sleeping on the other side, again, like Connie mentioned, the communication, and making sure if you see that your coworker's down on the floor playing with the kids, then you're the one that's up, either doing some of your teacher tasks, but looking over there like every 5 minutes or so to see that that little chest is moving up and down, to see if anyone woke up and isn't squawking, they're content, but they're ready to get up and play, so just that communication. All right. So display for children. One thing that we like to see is that there are at least 2 mobiles or hanging objects free in space for the children to look at. Should be in a general area where all the children can see them.
There's some areas where people can't have things hanging from the ceiling, the fire department says no. So think about things you could do, like maybe have a hanging plant that hangs off the wall, one of those plant hangers. They might allow you
It's
to
not
do
from
some
the
things
ceiling.
like that.
It's not.
You know, so there are different things, we just have to think outside the box sometimes, think about those.
The other thing is I've seen, cords or strings or whatever tied from one corner of the wall to another corner of the wall with a couple pieces on it. So just kind of see, don't go crazy, but see, because I understand they're ruling about hanging from the ceiling.
Okay.
But there are other ways to think outside the box for that one.
And then besides the ceiling, make sure that there's some display way down here where babies are. Because that's where the babies are, so they need to be able to see that. And where toddlers are, because they need to be able to see where they're at.
And photographs of the children. The other one that's different with this tool than the ITERS tool is that during the observation, we need to see that the teachers are referencing the display on the wall with the children. So for example, if you have your family board of everyone in their family, say, look, that's Mary, that's Mary's mom. And who's that? That's baby. And then they go from there, so referencing the pictures on the wall. It's a great teaching opportunity for them.
And we build that into your schedule of things you do every day.
All right. So next we move on to personal care routines, and we have reading and departing.
So is a bigger deal in this one than in the other one.
So for greeting and departing, on all times when parents bring children into the classroom, there should be some exchange of health and safety between the teacher and the parents. So if the teachers are just asking the parents, hey, how was your weekend? Well, they're probably gonna not get specific information about the child. They're probably gonna hear about the barbecue and the Bronco game. But if teachers change their phrasing to saying hi to the baby, did you have breakfast this morning? You look like you're still kind of hungry. That can at least get the conversation started. Of the parents talking about, oh no, they didn't eat this morning, but they were up at 5 and I'm sure she'll be hungry. Or, you know, can you please change them because, you know, we were really in a hurry and didn't have a chance to do that. So that will get that conversation started. And, you know, sometimes we have those shy, quiet teachers that aren't comfortable, you know, talking to the parents and getting that personal information from them, but giving them some lead-in topics to help bridge that gap. So,
And sometimes they're more comfortable talking to the child, so if they phrase that to the child that way,
Yeah.
then that prompts the parent to give them that answer.
Yeah. And this one again, when staff come in the room and are taking over any of the teaching responsibilities, they should kind of greet the children.
And it's probably even more important at this age,
Mhm.
because when your teacher disappears, it'd be really stressful for you. Yeah.
Yep.
It's, when you go into an infant, like that, almost a toddler but not quite room, where they're like 11 months, 10
Yeah.
months,
Having that
the stranger
anxiety.
danger thing is like, and you walk in and they look at you and just start crying, and you're like, I want to cry it.
Yeah. I try really hard to
I
stay
have
on
one
the
little
nap
boy.
side of the room for a long time.
And they'll keep looking
We're
at
just
you,
watching
looking
things,
back,
and we're
looking
like
at
over here
you.
behind the cribs, trying not to be in their line of sight. Yeah, trying to be careful.
It makes you feel kind of unwelcome.
Yeah. Well, you are unwelcome because they don't know you, so just freaking them out.
All right, so meals and snacks, no microwaves. Do not heat food in the microwave, don't heat bottles in the microwave.
And if you are heating things in things, always check and see what the temperature of those things are, because bottle warmers, crock pots, routinely I find that they run around 200 degrees, routinely.
Yeah. And what are they supposed to be?
Less than
Not more than
120
120.
How do you check it?
with the
Yeah.
thermometer. It's hard to hold your hand over that,
They're
trust me.
so hot sometimes.
Sometimes they are so hot.
That, but they go up really fast, so they've been as high as like 260. I've seen water boiling.
So budget programs that you have, well, how do they do that? Because they often will say to the coaches, well, this baby only takes warm milk. They only take it if it's, you know, warmer than body temperature. So what are you seeing out there that works?
One program puts just hot water in their sink and they set
From
a
the
bottle
tap?
in there. Another one has a coffee pot, and she like pours that into the sink so that it's a little warmer.
Mm. Okay.
Up on her counter.
I would just test that once in a while and see.
Yeah.
We've had a coffee pot in a hallway in between where the bathrooms were, and we measured it, and it was probably 126 or something. So, you know, they weren't using it to heat things, but if one of the kids had pulled that, it would have been. And it was where the bathrooms were. There was a definite lack of supervision in the bathrooms. So I was worried.
The coffee pot was by the bathrooms, I'm sorry.
There was this counter, yeah, there was this counter, and the bathrooms were in the walkway between the classrooms, and there was a coffee pot up there with coffee.
Wow.
It was scary to me, but I guess only to me, because nobody else seems scary. It's a big deal.
Sorry, I didn't
Oh,
hear.
No, that's okay, that's,
wow, yeah, you see weird things, so.
yeah, so why do you guys recommend for centers, because I've seen, you know, plenty of centers where it's, they have multiple microwaves in the kitchen, and it's just like one meal after the other. And so like, what is the proper way, or what, should they be using like actual stoves, or?
Yeah, or I would say use the warm water to, you know, but microwaves heat
I
unevenly.
think she's talking about.
Or like for
table
food,
foods.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
for lunchtime.
Well, I know, because.
Thermoses, I've seen programs do thermoses. They tell programs that we are not allowed to heat things up, and get something from your nurse consultant or somebody that says how microwaves heat food unevenly and children get burned.
Is it the same for preschool, like the ECHRs? Because that's not in there at all, right?
It isn't recommended as a practice, but it isn't as stringent as it is for this age, because these guys can't really distinguish so much hot. Whereas your preschoolers are usually feeding themselves, so they can take that away right away, but your baby can't do that until it's already too late, and then it's already. Yeah.
And especially with bottles and stuff. But yeah, a lot of them do still use the microwave. So it's just having those initial conversations and then starting to raise that awareness.
And parents will bring in cold macaroni and cheese.
They will.
They start getting the kids used to it. They'll eat it, cold chicken nuggets, cold pizza, if they're bringing their own foods.
Or they'll find other foods to bring in.
But the program serving foods, they usually do them on the stove. But you still have to be aware of that, because sometimes it is brought to the classroom and you see them take the cellophane off and then it's steaming. So so you have to watch for that too. Also at this age, it's critical that the staff be alert and with the children within arm's reach while they're eating. So putting that baby with their bottle, and yes, they can hold their own bottle, but if they're holding it way over there by themselves and I'm over here doing the rest of my routine, it's not okay. You can't hear them choke. You can't, it could be so quick, you would just be amazed how quick. So within arm's reach.
Eating at the table and you go put out mats and you're clear over there.
And one's changing diapers. Who's watching all these guys eating those chocobo hot dogs? Carrots, anything can be a choking hazard in your toddler room.
Well, because they put 6 handfuls in
They have to get their share.
So, yeah, and then they're eating on each other's plates or sharing with their friends, so there's those things that happen. Picking up stuff off the floor.
Also too, for this age, it's important that children that are consuming table foods are offered water, because they make that switch from getting all their nutrients from the fluid and the formula and the milk to foods, and we kind of forget that they need water too to help the digestion process.
Should water not be offered to children under this, like under the toddler age, right?
I think that's up to a pediatrician, but I haven't heard anything like
I haven't
that.
heard anything about that. I think, yeah, it would,
Especially being in
probably
Colorado.
yeah, probably if a child was having some maybe underweight struggles or something, they might recommend that they always have something with, that has calories with it, but in general, I think they usually
Have
have
you
some
heard that?
water.
Yeah.
Under 12
I've
months?
heard it a couple times because it takes away from the nutrients that they're getting, like they'll
See,
choose
that would
water
be the
over
only
the
thing
breast
I
milk
would
or
say
over
is-
the formula. So
And I think it would depend too, of course, on the timing when it's given to them. Right before meals probably isn't a smart choice, but
Right.
if you've been outside on one of those hour-long stroller walks, it would probably be okay to give them a little bit of water.
Yeah.
Or really parched.
And we do say for kids that are eating table foods, so those younger infants are probably not eating table food, so we're not worried about them. We're not trying to take away from their calories, but children that are eating more of those table foods, and that it's just in between those meals and snacks, and it doesn't have to be a lot, but they're tiny and they get dehydrated really quickly.
And so it says on here that breast milk and regular milk cannot be reheated.
Correct.
Oh man, I've seen that so many times where, just we'll put it back in the refrigerator and then pull it right back out.
And once they're out, it shouldn't be out more than an hour.
Right.
So if you need some support with that, your nurse consultant is the perfect one to leave you some flyers or talk to your staff, or
Isn't that licensing too?
I'm
I
sure
would
it is.
assume.
Yeah, I was like, that's a violation.
Yeah.
Mhm. But you're right, it's just so easy, they only tasted it and then it's on the counter, and the teachers really lose track of time because they're caring for X many other babies. Oh, let's just reheat this one just to warm it up a bit for you, and then, but who knows how long it's been out, really. Yeah.
Just best practice.
All right, also children should have their hands washed after eating as well with this tool, because they're usually using their fingers and their fingers are right in their mouths. So their hands should be washed before and after.
Is it just with this tool?
Yeah.
So it is required in this tool, and it's recommended in the ECHRS tool if they're eating finger foods.
So if you see some messy board.
That's
A
fine.
lot of programs
That's a
do
good
across the
practice.
board. And it's fine if you do, it's just not something that we necessarily pay attention to unless we see after the meal that lots of children need their hands washed. Because in preschool classrooms, a lot of times they are using their utensils and they're not needing that.
So for those of you that were with us earlier, what is the difference of when do you sanitize and when do you disinfect? When do you do that? What do you do then?
Disinfect.
Disinfect when you have bodily fluids, yes. And sanitizing is for your tables, toys, yeah, food surface areas. Yeah. And how do you know how long to leave it on the surface?
The label.
Thank you, you weren't even here before.
I just say
You're in
that
the
all the
accelerated
time.
group. That's what we say.
That's what we say, but people don't always listen.
They're like, 2 minutes? I'm like, read your label. Oh,
2
2 minutes?
minutes?
I'm like, read your label.
Says 10 minutes, so let's find something else to use.
Yeah, there you
That's
go.
exactly right.
You missed our earlier discussion, yes, that was it. Especially when they say, how am I supposed to change 10 diapers? And I have to leave it on for 10 minutes. How do I do that?
Find something else to use.
First of all, don't do them all at the same time.
That's another one.
It's just a personal preference, but it's not really anywhere in here. I just think it's a bad practice to do them all at the same time. That's just.
But it's easier for the teachers, Tony.
I don't think it is. I think they cause themselves a lot of trouble.
Can I go back to hand washing for a minute?
Please
What about
do.
before and after bottle feeding for the baby?
Mhm.
Before and after bottle feeding?
So especially if the babies are starting to hold the bottle themselves.
Okay.
But then for the younger ones, I suggest at least before, because you don't know where their hands have been.
Mhm.
And if their hands usually go right up here. I usually like this.
So
right
as a
up
rater,
there.
you're checking that? That's an
Mhm.
adequate hand washing?
Yep, yep.
They've been on the floor, you've been giving them materials at the toddlers that you didn't see their mouth, that you didn't get to remove.
And then remember
We
too,
don't know.
so active hand washing with running water doesn't have to happen for babies that don't have head control.
But babies have head control generally
2 to 3 months.
by
Mhm.
really close to the time they start carrying.
Yeah.
So I see lots of programs using wipes,
Oh, have you?
and those kids have,
Yeah.
they're having tummy time, so they've got head control. If they're having tummy time and their head's up, then you shouldn't be using wipes.
Yep.
So,
So you really should be doing over the sink hand washing at that point. I think that's something I've missed with my programs.
Mm.
all right.
Nap time. Talk to me about some of the best practices now for nap. In a crib.
Safe sleep.
On their backs.
Nothing with them.
Nothing.
In there with them, yeah.
Nothing. No binky.
What about those binkies that have the stuffed animal on them?
No.
What
about that?
at all.
Who
No
thought of that?
cords.
What about grandma's favorite blanket? So you're only gonna sleep with grandma's favorite blanket.
Can I take it out after they fall asleep?
It's not a good
Take it.
practice, because you're gonna be
You're gonna
busy,
forget.
because Mark is gonna hit Billy, and you're gonna have a scuffle here, and then someone's gonna have a blowout, and you'll forget.
If
And
it's
in the
grandma's
meantime,
favorite blanket, sew it into a,
oh,
There you go.
turn it into one of those, what do you call them?
Sleep
Hanging
sack.
sleep sacks.
Good job.
No wing sleep sacks, right? You can't have the ones with the wings.
the what?
Can't have
That
the
wrap
ones
the
that
swaddles.
swaddle
Yeah,
them.
you can't swallow.
Right. And what about children laying on their mats? What's okay for them? Over 12 months,
They can have a blanket.
they can have a blanket. Yeah, just wanna see their little faces, so if we think they only sleep with it covered, pull those down. Yeah. How far apart do they need to be?
3 feet.
3 feet, 36
How many
inches.
of them are 3 feet apart?
Cribs, have a hard time
And a
seeing
whole,
that.
a whole room,
Yeah.
and a nap, a crib room,
Right.
never seen it.
They just don't have enough.
Never, ever.
Mhm.
But it's okay, you know, there's gonna be those indicators.
Yeah,
Your
it is
space
what
is
it
what your
is.
space is. You're gonna use the very best practices that you can. So you're gonna get them as far apart as you can. You're gonna put them with the plexiglass in between if you can.
Are you gonna
You're gonna do
supervise
what you
them?
can. So,
Yep.
same with the mats, same thing. If you can't get them 3 feet apart, but you can put a shelf in between, okay, you did something. You did what you could.
And everyone's cribs that they've seen are in compliance.
We're still
Talks right here
seeing
about,
some in
drop side
places, so
grids.
make sure that you're double checking that they have their certificate, because if they go through an actual rating, then they need that. And just recently, we had somebody who hadn't replaced theirs yet,
Mhm.
so, and especially home providers, so.
Don't they have isn't the certificate, the one I had anyway, had the certificate right on the mattress?
That's what we
Sometimes.
suggest,
Mhm.
to put it on that wood part.
Well, they had it printed on there.
Sometimes
That works
they
too.
do, but not always.
Hmm.
You should get one for each crib that you order, so you should have them, and probably a good idea to keep at least one somewhere in the office where they know where it's at, and I've seen them posted on the wall in the infant room, so whatever's gonna be easy. But if you see somebody crawling into your cribs when they're doing a rating, that's why, they're on the floor, because we will get down there and look underneath to see if it's there, if we need to. Luckily, I'm with a rater and I make them do it.
Well, they need to practice.
They do. That's what it's for.
So we talked earlier too about the hand washing. Same practice for adults and children. Foam soap really should have that water component too.
It's
Give you
not
that.
required, but it's really hard to get that lather for 20 seconds.
And we didn't talk about this earlier, but what's the word on the street about hand sanitizer?
No,
Not at all.
not at all.
Great.
I
Everyone
just
got
saw
that?
some
Antibacterial
pictures the
soap
other
is the
day,
same,
isn't it?
so, yeah, I did, so. Not
What did you say
everybody
about
got
the soap?
those.
Antibacterial soap is the same now, isn't it?
Yeah. It's
I
not
haven't heard
recommended
that.
to use that, but usually it'll say
Isn't
keep
that
out of reach, and we say keep it out of reach, so,
Yeah, so you gotta have it locked up.
right.
So
So you're gonna bring
I
it
thought
down
they
all the
stopped
time?
manufacturing it because they found that it was.
Yeah, it's not good for you. Yeah, but we don't look at that piece, but it does, and if it's antibacterial, it'll say keep out of reach. So if you have it on the sink, we're gonna say lock it up. That's not convenient, so.
I have a question about the drop down side cribs. It's the ones that actually like drop down, not the hinge ones, right? Or are the hinge ones
The
count?
ones that actually drop down are not allowed.
Right, but the hinge ones where like you click and it's just that small piece that.
I think those are fine,
Those
right?
are not considered drop downs.
Correct.
Yeah, that was the problem initially when this came out, because it said drop sides, and so everybody thought it was just those cribs. But really what happened was it was drop side, and there were all these new, more stringent requirements for the rails and the bases and the hardware that they used. And so that was the disconnect initially when it came out. So lots of people replaced drop side, but they didn't get the correct cribs. They didn't get the new hardware and things like that. So a lot of programs ended up having to get cribs twice because they didn't get, the information was not given out. So when it says drop sides, that's not really what they meant. They meant there's all these new requirements, meet these. So,
When those rules were given out though, they were like given out like on the 10th and it went into effect on the 11th.
Yeah, I did.
So I know as home providers, we were all like freaking out, buying cribs left and right. I mean, they
Yeah,
were on
places
back
ran out of
order.
cribs. Uh-huh.
Because we weren't like given any notice. It was like you needed to have these new cribs in yesterday.
Mhm. Yep. So, diaper changing procedures, I don't think we need to go through the nitty gritty details. If you want, it's on this page. Also is the website that you can download the pictorial directions, English and Spanish. Feel free to do that. My suggestion, train them right in the beginning. It's easier to train than retrain.
Still seeing lots of problems with
Coaches
so
too.
people are definitely not getting the correct training because we're still seeing lots of issues with these things.
It's hard, but like I said, if you just start it right in the beginning and don't let them slack and don't go for the, well, we'll start to do that in November when our rating is, they'll forget. Get everyone on the same page, the same practice, so. I've seen it work great, and when it works, it's great to watch.
Really great, yeah.
So let's get into all the safety issues that we can find in the infant toddler rooms.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Well, please do.
So what happens if you have those really long infants or, toddlers that don't fit on the diaper changing table anymore? What would be the proper way for teachers to change them? I mean, I know in some of the older toddler rooms, they may have, as the kids are getting ready for like potty training, they'll have them stand up and just change it that way. But I mean, is there a proper way to ensure that they're doing it correctly?
So if they're changing them standing up, then it's exactly the same procedure as if they're laying down.
Okay.
So they can do whatever works best for each child, but it's the same thing. So you're still gonna use the wipe steps, you're still gonna have a hands-free container, you're still gonna do all of those things. And then when they're potty training, remember that we're also gonna disinfect that toilet seat each time you put a potty trainer on there, because they might have had urine on them. So you're gonna go through that whole procedure. But yes, changing is exactly the same.
I know seniors start as early, I have to classify, but